big debacle with the trans fighter.
Oh, you don't even know the debacle.
You probably have more of a debacle because you've been in it, but it's so funny because it's either like it starts out with "It's a man, baby." It's one of those.
I mean,
things.
I don't think it's a man.
Well, I mean, I think that you might be right, but I saw the Washington Post basically is like, this is a disgrace, like men fighting in women's boxing, and I was saying that the retraction is like, we're so sorry. It was really dark. Like, dude, there's nothing worse than calling a woman a man.
Yeah, right. Well,
this is I am so. This is what it is. It's either we can't believe there's a man fighting in women's boxing, or it's oh no my god, it was so, you don't understand, you were beautiful, it was dark, you're a hero, I'll kill myself.
Right, and there are a lot of mannish women at the Olympics right now, manly looking real women.
The other thing,
shot putters, and
everyone's under the microscope.
Everybody goes.
Danny, every woman that looks a little manly, they have a guy coming up being like, what's going on down there? There's a bulge. So okay, what happened? Why is it not even? I don't even know.
Well, the real debacle for me is that I support women's sports now.
Of course.
Because a week ago when this whole thing went down, and then I started doing some investigation, and I'm like, again, it's intersex. I'm an idiot, by the way. I just like to preface this. What I'm about to say is so stupid.
That's what I've been saying.
What I'm about to say is so stupid. But so then all this stuff started going down, and then everybody's like, oh, fuck it. Everybody was betting on it and being like, easy money. And then I was like, no, you know what? I'm going to take the field here. So I bet on the field against the Algerians.
Stop. Is this before people were saying she was a man?
No, this was like a week ago. She still had 3. So basically, she had 3 or 4 fights left. So I'm like, I just need you to lose one of these fights, and and it was like 3-1. So I was like, that seems like a pretty good bet. She fought in the 2020 Olympics and got the shit beaten out of her by this Irish chick, right? So I was like, and then I was like getting deep into it. I was
How much did you lose?
Well, she still has the gold medal fight to lose. Nothing crazy. Few hundo.
But you would have made like a couple G's.
It was like a 300 pays like 1,000.
Super funny.
Anyways, and I was like, I'm like, you know what? Yes, she's intersex, and she's got, again, but then now I think about it, obviously hindsight, and she's won 3 in a row, and like devastating wins too. Like they were like, I was like, yesterday she was in the semifinals. I'm like on fucking the internet trying to find like a live feed. I'm on like the BBC iPlayer with a fucking VP. I have my VPN pulled up for England so that I can watch it. It still wouldn't let me watch it. And then like boxing. 2 seconds later I go on Twitter and it's just like, she just fucking destroyed this Thai chick. And I'm like, God damn
So what's the deal? Because
it's exactly like Castor Semenya, who is the Jamaican runner who we've spoken about before. She's intersex. So she literally...
What does that mean?
She literally has testes inside of her. So it's like, I mean,
kind of like you when the fucking wife's calling.
Kind of like me when I lose this bet. But no, it's funny because like, there's a whole
you kind of have testes inside you too, inside your mouth.
It's the whole gender debate because everybody's like, there's only 2 genders or whatever, blah blah blah, and then you're like,
this is the rare case.
She's the edge case, but then there's 2 edge cases right now in boxing.
So the edge cases are cleaning.
Everybody's like, well, they're just edge cases. You're like, the edge cases are beating the shit out of women right now. But I do believe that like she's
edge cases are fucking rocking.
Yeah, the edge cases are cleaning the fuck up. They go, oh, it's only like a 0.0001% that they ever compete. And you're like, well, there's 2 of them going for gold right now. So, but so she does have elevated levels of testosterone. That's without question. She has way higher levels of test than any female would have.
Do you think that she didn't know this, or did she know this? Because it's one of those things where if it looks like a girl, no dick comes out, and you're like, it's a girl. Do they do tests on that?
I guarantee you, if you saw her naked, you'd be like, that's a woman.
That's what I mean, though. Is she just finding this out too?
So what happened?
Where like she goes to the test, and they're like, oh, this person was like born a man or whatever, and then she goes to the test. She goes, as if I'm born a man. And they go, we got news for you.
She fought in like a boxing tournament. There was like this Russian boxing tournament last year that her and the other one were kicked out of, basically because they tested them and they wouldn't reveal the tests, like the results, essentially because they're like, it's a violation of their privacy.
It's the Austin Powers test,
basically. Yeah. It's the sniff test. But basically they tested them and then they were like,
they hired Jim Carrey from Pet Detective.
But
the Einhorn Finkel test.
Yeah. But so essentially, they tested them at this boxing event last year, and they were like, essentially, from the sounds of it, they said it wasn't a DNA test, so I don't know exactly what the test was. They said it wasn't a testosterone test.
Do a TNA test.
Yeah, it wasn't a DNA test. But they were like, they basically disqualified both of them. They allowed them to appeal at like no charge, essentially. Like you're like, you don't even have to fund your appeal. Like we'll cover, if you want to appeal, you can appeal. And then they both dropped out. So then the
so they sort of knew like we're not going to be
the
able
Olympics
to pass the appeal.
well, the Olympics have a different standard. So they're just like, well, if your sex is female, but again, their sex is not female. They're intersex, whereas they do have an X chromosome.
So how do they check that?
The Olympics doesn't. They're just like, you've been competing as a woman. They're like, we saw you in the showers. It checks out, kind of thing. Huge clit, but other than that, it's I think the size of a fucking lima bean, but it's you got a baby carrot on you over there. But anyways,
that's fucking
but
bizarre.
She does for sure have. And if you watch, like I watched her fight, but the thing I was thinking about, because obviously people are like, well, you can't have a category for intersex.
There'll be a small category.
That's an insane. I mean, there's two of them, but they're different weight classes. And then like I looked it up, and like she's heavier than fucking Tank Davis. Like if you know him, Javante Davis or whatever, who's like
how much does she weigh?
She's 60. She's in the 66 kilogram class, so she's probably like,
come on, British Danny,
135 pounds, 140 pounds or something. But like Tank Davis, like if she had to fight men, like Tank Davis would knock her head off her body, and he's like 5 inches shorter than her. Like he would kill her.
They're sort of in the in between.
They are in the legitimately like.
Just get rid of girl sport. Period. Problem solved. You got too many problems.
Hey man, I don't know. I'm not in favor of getting rid of beach volleyball just yet.
I've seen you perving over it, slobbering almost online. You're thirsty. You seen Danny? Every second post is like fucking nice. Danny's Twitter account is just slobbering over women's volleyball.
Just love beach volleyball. No, but I mean I haven't actually watched
Danny likey.
Hubba.
It actually was. Yeah. He was slobbering over it. His tongue was hitting the floor. I guess it's the only sport where they kind of look hot while they're doing it. But
yeah, well, they wear thongs, except for some gymnasts. Yeah, there's lots of them, to be honest. But then the first day actually of beach volleyball was cold in Paris, so then they were all wearing like fucking.
Danny's about to fly there and lick the sand.
Can I just get some sand? Is there any way I can just get a little souvenir?
You're gonna be one of those perverts. It's Star Wars, basically. They did like an auction of the girl's jumpsuit, and it went for like a fucking 140 G's, and it's obviously just some fucking perv that's about to sniff her.
Oh yeah, unwashed.
140 G's well spent. If it was washed, I wonder if it was washed, because if it was washed, the value probably goes way down.
Way down. No sweat stains on there, nothing.
The guy was probably so pissed off if they washed it.
He goes, what? It smells like fucking detergent.
I just paid $140 for detergent.
Beat it down. But anyways, she's going to win. I'm going to lose.
It's also the other side of it's sort of funny, because they basically have to, a lot of people were sort of, when they thought it was potentially a trans person, they had to be like, this is her right, like we're behind her. And then they're like, it's actually this woman, this intersex. You're like, oh, now I thought I was caring about a trans person.
Well, the LGBT people are still pumped about it. Like I was on Twitter searching her.
Because the edge cases sort of make their argument, right?
Absolutely.
This is what they've been talking about.
This is what they've been saying. They go, there's edge cases. And then again, there is a real, like Caster Semenya or whatever, who was the sprinter, the Jamaican sprinter.
Danny was doing edging cases when he was watching volleyball.
It was a bit of a goon case, if you will. But I mean, same deal. Like, it's like I'm a woman. Like, I guess I have. And then they were like, we want to make you take. Basically, like she was disqualified from all these events because they're like, you have to take medicine to lower your natural testosterone. And then the argument becomes like, hey, well, what about male athletes who are just like their testosterone's through the fucking roof just genetically?
Well, they don't have another category that they would go in after.
Well, I guess I know. I'm just
because they're obviously, the thing is, like, if your T's this high, then you compete with men,
right?
But the men don't have a version of that. When your T's too hard, you compete with alpha men.
Yeah, men would kill her.
The Giga Chad territory.
So I don't know. Like men would kill her. Like she wouldn't compete with men. She'd have zero chance there. Like she would literally get her destroyed. So it's one of those weird things where you're like, okay, well,
they probably have had this before.
They
too,
have.
right?
They had it with Caster Semenya.
No, but even before that, there was, back in the day, they probably had right and left, like all of women's. There's probably a lot of dominations that you don't even realize.
Sure, and I mean the Eastern Germans in the, I think it was like in the 80s and stuff, when East Germany was still Soviet, and it was like a joke. Like SNL used to make fun of them because like all the chicks looked like dudes because they were all in the lab. Well, they were all in the lab getting just shot up with whatever, like testosterone, crazy, like steroids and stuff. So like all the Eastern German.
It's not an enormous payoff for being that anyway.
Well, I think the country is like it's usually like the country.
The country's invested in it.
Yeah, the country's invested in it, so they're like trying to make these fucking superhuman people, and then again they test you for a million things, but this is just the edge case, I guess.
It's pretty funny though that it's like this is the one that everyone no one really knows what their stance is on it.
No, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's definitely, if you're a woman without an X chromosome,
there isn't
you probably feel it's pretty unfair.
There isn't a perfect answer where you're just like, well, you should fight with guys, and it was like, well, I don't know.
Yeah, this doesn't
have a dick.
There
really.
are several trans men in the Olympics right now, but they're competing against biological women, so they're still in their born sex class.
That's weird. What is it? Just basically like non-binary chicks sort of thing?
Basically, yeah. It's like a non-binary or like
a leso that shaved her head. Sort of thing.
Like essentially. But again, it's not unfair because they're competing against their sex.
That's a bizarre one.
This is the thing.
So where did you land on this stuff finally?
I don't really know. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely, if you're fighting them, it's not fair. But again, like,
there isn't a perfect solution.
There isn't a perfect. She's been beat
because she's sort of the in between,
and she has been beat by women. Like, and she can't fight men. So you can either say you're not allowed to compete, or I mean, I personally think it's like if you're just strictly, you are actually born that way. You didn't just make a decision. Then they're like, for them to be like, you got to take all these drugs to lower your testosterone. That kind of seems unfair.
That's sort of weird too. It's just like you're giving people like be worse medication almost.
Yeah, well, literally, yeah. You're like, we have to make you worse. Like it's the opposite of doping.
And you are like, I was born with this special ability that I'm a girl that's got like a tiny little bit of man in me.
Yeah, and I mean,
that's
also
my superpowers. I'm 1% man.
Yeah, I'm like, I got these testes up in me or whatever. So
that's like a superhero. That's like, Iron Man has this the rock. She has basically an Iron Man pouch with a couple balls in there.
Kinda. That's just producing some testosterone.
That's wild.
But I mean, you watch her fight, and you're like, man, she's fucking waste. Like she.
Well, it opened up a lot of conversations, and this is what Vox has determined: discrimination against trans Olympians has roots in Nazi Germany. So
she's not trans. That's the thing, though. She's not trans.
I know, but they want to clump them together because if they consider that, then it helps their.
It is kind of funny though, because she's from Algeria, and it's illegal to be gay or trans there. So then, if she wins, they all have to kind of be like, this is sick. We want a gold medal, which they don't get a lot of.
Go to jail now.
But then they all got to be like, but kind of like she's at least gay. She's for sure gay.
Is she gay?
For sure.
I wonder. I mean, if she's not, her husband probably doesn't.
She's got a fucking crew cut, Ryan.
That's. No, what I'm saying though, imagine you had your husband though that was like, this is your girlfriend, and it was a national scandal that your girlfriend's fucking born a man.
Yeah.
Couldn't be fun.
No.
Well, I just always love when there's like the argument always goes back to the Nazis also thought what you think. Sure. You know who else? Like hear that? J.K. Rowling?
Yeah.
Guess what, J.K. Rowling? You wrote some books. You know who else wrote a book? I think a little someone by the name of
Adolf
Himmler. Himmler wrote a book, less popular book.
Yeah. That's probably
the answer found in historian and journalist Michael Waters' The Other Olympians: Fascism, Queerness, and the Making of Modern Sports. Someone probably got a lot of money from their university to do that study. Mm-hmm. The answers found in historians' books: the Nazi era has substantially shaped the conversation surrounding trans athletes today. It's also whenever they do that, they're always tacitly implying that it was Jews.
Yeah.
They're just like, who else hated people that didn't like? There were people that were promoting trans ideas.
Yeah. Sure.